to episode 7 of Super Lord Boys, the WrestleMania of FGC podcast. I'm your host, Riz1, aka the Ultra Street Fighter 2 World Champion. And joining us today, we have another Ultra Street Fighter 2 champion. He's the jabroni beating, eyebrow raising, boom boom clapping, the people's champ, MarsGatti. How's it going?
What's up, my bro? How you doing today, pal?
Doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, man. Just just taking it easy, just taking it easy, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough getting you on the mics, but you're one of the voices that, people want to hear. So hopefully today we're able to go through your journey so far with Street Fighter 2. Obviously, you've accomplished a lot in your 15 years of playing competitively.
Jesus, it's been that long?
Yeah, it's been a decade and a half, and that's, small fraction of all the greatness that you're going to be achieving, with this game and other fighters that you play. So, originally, you're somewhere in PA, so, one of the disciples of Rocky Balboa.
Oh, yeah, for sure, right. Man. Shout out to Sly.
Yeah, shout out to Sly Guy. That's the guy, though, for real.
He's the guy.
And then, let's see, your likes are Peace on Earth, which is very noble. Fighting Dalsim, interesting, because because I think Guile versus Dalsim is the opposite of Peace on Earth. And then you're also a collector of action figures, which I want to show in just a little bit. How many action figures do you have total?
Man. So originally, when I was in high school, when I was in grade school, I'd say about 6th grade. My dad always used to buy me Japanese Gundam figures. So they had these 12-inch figures that were basically, it's 12 inches. It's big, right?
Sure.
No homo. Don't get any ideas, but anyway. So I'd like to watch Japanese cartoons, so Gundam, Go Lion, which we know here is Voltron, God Mars, hence that's where I got my original name from, I guess. Couple others, Guyver, but Guyver is more of a superhero anime, But long story short, I started building Gundam models back when I was about 12, and I had quite a bit, man. I had about at least 300 Gundam models.
So this is this is on par with you playing fighting games, right? I mean, this is some of the models that you have.
Those are some that I have now. The Go Lion, Voltron, obviously with the lions. I have 2 sets of those, and on the right is Gal Gaigar. He's another combiner figure, pretty decent series. Unfortunately, I sold those Gundams that I built, and all I have now is my perfect grade original RX-78-2. If people collect models, they know that there's the new Unleashed version came out, which is basically a 2.0. And I have a high grade Shining Gundam and master grade Hyper Mode God Gundam. Shoutouts to G Gundam for being Street Fighter and Gundam at the same time.
And what's this one over here?
Okay, so that is the Bandai Soul of Chigokin GX71, as in 71 figure in the series.
Dang.
And these are all 3 of the issues of the Voltron figure. So on the left, there's the red Bandai logo. People have been collecting Bandai figures. They know that red logo has been around since the beginning. They started changing the blue logo. I don't know why, but it was now pronounced Bandai Spirit. So the second issue is in the middle, and then the third issue is on the right. There's differences in these boxes, of course. The figure, not so much, but little detailings. The first 2, they'll say which year they were released, but the third one doesn't give a year. It doesn't say 2021 or 2020. Maybe it was released during a bad year, COVID era. So
right, this is all actually quite fascinating. I've seen your toy collection in person. Sorry, I don't know if you call them toys. I don't want to...
Oh yeah, you could call them toys.
I've seen these pristine models in person, and now that you're talking about they changed this logo or like they've removed this detail and stuff like that, I just wanted to make an analogy or a comparison for someone who's a hardcore collector. Would this be the equivalent of like patches or an update to a game and suddenly it's like not the same game anymore? Like, is that how like the collectors feel about these, or do you still get it anyway?
So there is a thing. There are figures that actually get re-released with upgrades, 2.0 versions. There's no upgrades. There's no difference in the actual figure themselves aside from the display stand, because Voltron is owned by World Events Productions. So on the bottom of the display stand it says World Events, but on the second one, the second reissue, or the one in the middle, it has Bandai Spirits at the bottom. Then on the third reissue it has WEP, which World Events Productions again, so there's little differences. I like the spot. I mean, me personally, people might call me skeptical, but there's like a little figure. There's a little difference in the figure between the first version and the other two, where basically when you form Voltron, you have to form the chest, you have to lock these shoulders and the black line in place. And when I got it originally, it was kind of hard to push them in because you got to push them in place. You got to hear a click.
Yeah.
The other two issues, they go in snugly. You hear the click easily. You don't have to use force to push it in, because the first issue, people have broken their nails trying to yeah, it's crazy, trying to lock a figure in place.
So with the remakes they like simplified the inputs, so it's easier to do a Dragon Punch now, and
yeah, they HDR'd it, they gave it a easier input. They gave it instead of half circle back, it's half circle forward, and it's better priority.
Yeah.
So the reissue, they must have did some updates to like slight, like teeny pecks of updates to the mold to where things function a little better than they did. I mean, of course, no figure is going to be, there's going to be figures with defects. It's not that the figure itself is bad, but it's common. There's things that are released that have defaults or bad, are not broken, but like they have factory defects that
right.
You got to return them and ship them back. And Bandai, now owned by Bluefin here in the US, they offer replacement parts. So if you do, like, say one of your pieces is missing a limb, or one of your pieces doesn't function right, like the ratchet doesn't work, you can send it in. You can fill out a form to Bluefin, say when you got it. You keep the broken piece and they'll ship you a replacement, but it takes like 2-3 months to get it.
Shoot, yeah.
So it's like the wait kind of sucks, but it is exciting collecting these figures, because you see them like promoted, and there's actually one of my favorite animes that I used to watch when I was little. I actually watched this for a little bit more than I did Voltron, because my dad had the movie Voltron. We didn't have any tapes. It just aired on Cartoon Network on USA like very rarely, so I didn't really get to see it like that until I was like 8 or 9. But there's this anime called Space Warrior Baldios. So Baldios, basically, if you're familiar with Super Robots, he basically is Daitarn 3's body with a Gundam's head.
Okay.
And he's a 3-ship combiner. 2 ships form the legs and 1 ship forms the body. And I I actually used to watch the movie when I was little, and I was like always like obsessed with that movie because, you know, I actually saw that before I saw Gundam. So I originally thought that was a Gundam, but he's not a Gundam, he's a super robot, right? So I ended up losing the VHS tape. I don't know where it went, and you know, recently, I think last October, I bought it, the DVD, which had the the American version, but of course, because it was promoted as a kids movie,
they took out a lot of stuff. Yeah, of course, that's a classic.
Yeah, they took out a lot of like the death scenes, or not. They didn't take out the death scenes, but they get killed. You don't see how they die. You know,
right? Yeah, they like cover it up or kind of off screen. Yeah.
Right. So some lore to Baldios is basically there's two characters. There's Marin, who is the main character. In the US version, he's known as Marlin. And then there's Aphrodia, which is one of my fight K tags.
Yeah, one of your few tags that you got right now.
Right. And she's the antagonist, but these two end up they hate each other, but they love each other because Aphrodia's brother killed Marlin's dad, and Marlin killed Aphrodia's brother. So now they hate each other, but Marlin doesn't hate Aphrodia as much as Aphrodia hates Marlin. But then Aphrodia starts to fall in love with Marlin. It's interesting. It's weird, but me personally, I always loved the design of the robot because, you know, he looked badass. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I knew you were into this stuff. I didn't know you were like that deeply invested. I thought you just liked the art of, you know, building and just having like this, you know, nice display. But yeah, that all sounds pretty cool. I'm wondering how it's gonna tie back to, you know, your Street Fighter storyline, because I feel that you were probably playing Street Fighter 2 as a kid at the same time, you know, like building these guys. So
yeah,
you know, pretty.
Yeah, actually, a big part was around, I guess, 2000 era, right? Year 2000. That's when they had all these hot games on Dreamcast coming out, right?
Right.
I was building Gundams and playing like most of like, you know, I had like a Sega Saturn and I had a Dreamcast and I had a PlayStation. So I had, you know, a lot of these fighters that came out, which was so sick to play because it originally, right? Because PlayStation and Saturn, well, more so PlayStation, have limitations, you know, because either the game is missing frames of animation so it can run, or, you know, there's load times, and Dreamcast was like the point where, well, Saturn for real, because of the 4 megabyte RAM card, Saturn and Dreamcast kind of, when they had that era where it was like they were just bringing out arcade perfect like fighting games, like X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Yeah, unlike the PlayStation, yeah, because the PlayStation of, for example, Marvel Super vs. Street Fighter was completely different from the arcade version. Same thing with Marvel 1. Yeah, it wasn't the same game at all.
Yeah, it was like way different. It was a one-on-one game.
Yeah.
Marvel 1 was actually pretty good though, as a PlayStation 1 game, because I think they removed a lot of the slowdown. But like Marvel 1 basically got like, you know, you remember when Alpha 3 came out on PlayStation 1 and it was considered so godlike, right?
I mean, it still is.
It still is, right? You know, because it's got, even like some of the visuals look different, but like they like some of the visuals look better on the PlayStation version. Like Marvel 1 had this thing where if you air combo, the characters zoom in. So your character, they zoom in on the characters, so the characters get bigger, like a comic strip.
Oh,
like a comic
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine like, say you do Infinite, and imagine how, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure they still have the Infinites in there, even if it's a one-on-one game. But, I mean, for me, my favorite console game is like fighter, pound for pound, I'd have to probably say was the Saturn version of 03, yeah, because it was basically like it had the sound quality of the PlayStation version, had all the frames. It had T-Hawk, had a frame where, I mean, if you're familiar with ST, he has the walking back animation, but if in the other games he doesn't, he has his forward walk animation as his back walk. But in the Saturn, they gave him that back walk animation.
Where he's kind of doing like the X with his arms or something,
he's doing
right?
The X.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even in the arcade of 03 Upper, so...
Yo, you know a lot. What the hell? You know a lot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of strange like that, man. You know, but I was like Alpha 3, I remember originally I wanted the Saturn, and, you know, my dad got me the PlayStation, which was fine, but then I got salty when the Saturn one actually came out, because then it was like, well, you got the PlayStation one, you know, because I was known, you know, we were used to always getting the Saturn ports because of the 4 megabyte RAM card, like Real Bout Special. I wish I got Karnoff's Revenge, but I never did. I think Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, they had a game for that. One game though that I hated so much, and it's honestly, it like this never got the only port it got that was good was on Marvel Origins, but Marvel Superheroes for the PlayStation and the Saturn. And the Saturn had the 3 megabyte RAM support were terrible. The game ST had this too. ST on the Saturn had the same problem. But you get
the CPS chains on the Saturn version, right?
You get the CPS 1 chains, but like if you're playing on DJ stage on T3, it's unplayable, man. The slowdown is too severe. Like on PlayStation, for some reason, the slowdown's not on the PlayStation version, but on the Saturn one for 2X, it is. And it might be because the character sprites were actually bigger than arcade.
Yeah.
Because they were at a higher resolution. And I mean, I remember having Saturn Super Turbo, and I remember, Guile had his CPS 1 chain, but then if you're playing on like DJ stage or Cammy stage or T-Hawk stage, it ran so bad, man. Like Saturn's known for getting godlike ports, but Marvel Superheroes and Super 2X were like the worst.
Damn, yo, we need to definitely collab on some additional lore, supplementary lore videos, because you know a lot about all these ports, and it's stuff that's registering in my head as you're talking about it, but it's not things that I really like thought about or noticed. But yeah, that's some dope stuff, and some of those are also your favorite games, including SVC Chaos and USF2.
Yeah.
Which, you know, USF2 is the GOAT, obviously. But yeah, SVC Chaos.
I love USF2, man. That's a wonderful game.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, these games, when they come out, instead of trying to replace, like, okay, for like Street Fighter 2, obviously 2X, in my opinion, 2X and C are not going to be replaced, right? Hyper fighting, people are going to think more so than C, right? I would assume. But like for me, C and 2X are kind of unreplaceable. But then there's other games where you can kind of play like Hyper and Ultra, like, you know, they're not 2X, but you still should play them to appreciate, you know, the concepts they brought, like Dash Sagat versus 2X Ryu, or 2X Bison versus HF Sim. You know, that's one thing I like about Hyper, is that they brought like a bunch of concepts. I mean, of course it's not 2X, but they brought so many different ideas with just the different, you know, iterations. And then Ultra, just because Violent Ken and Violent Ryu, you know, you know, they might consider them broken, but I think problem with this, not to rag, but here, like, it seems like here, like, I guess USA is more top tier, I guess. I don't want to say privileged, but okay, so like if something's dumb here, we're quick to say, oh, it's broken, oh, it's stupid, this sucks. Whereas like, say maybe Japan, and this is, you know, they've done this with other games, they actually take time to learn the game, and, you know, But I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. You know, me personally, I dig Ultra for the characters. You know, like I don't mind them. If honestly, it's in the game for a reason, right? So, you know, that's kind of how I feel about, like, you know, the different games, and you know, people saying maybe 2X might be, you know, saying, oh, this character's cheap, but when you think about it, 2X is like the most balanced game, one of the most balanced games, right? So
there's so much that you can do in it, and later on I actually wanted to do like a tier list for the Street Fighter 2 series. That might be fun, so we can talk about that again after. I think we're jumping the gun a little bit. So I know that, you know, you've basically been playing Street Fighter 2 your whole life. You know, you had it on your 3DO, like that PC port that you showed me at your house one time with the crazy jazzy DJ theme.
So good, man.
and I know that, like, your parents, your grandmom, like, you know, supported you playing that a lot, and you know, your dad used to play you in Street Fighter 2 a lot. So just like, how, like, did you realize? I mean, we were kids, we didn't really know what was going on, but do we realize, like, how dope Street Fighter 2 actually was? Like, what happened? Like, how do we know that it was going to be a good game?
I don't know. Maybe the game chose us, right? Because, you know, when you think about, like, Street Fighter 2, I think I'm almost certain this was the first video game I played. Like, before, I didn't really get into video games like that. I was more so watching, like, Bucky O'Hare and Ultraman. Ultraman was one of my favorite things to watch. But Street Fighter, I remember going to my cousin's house because he had a console, and he had Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And I remember seeing all these characters, you know, and then there was this guy with like, his hair was wild, and he looked like serious, like he looked like like he would trash you, you know.
Definitely not
so
Dawson.
Like, oh, I like.
Definitely not Dawson. Yeah. Okay. Not Sagat.
But I did also like Claw. I liked Claw a lot too, because he had a mask, and but anyway, I told my dad, I was like, who's this guy? And he's like, oh, you want to play as the guy Guile? I was like, yeah, Guile, because I remember it, because I was playing and my cousin picked Blanca. I lost. I played Guile again. I won, and I was like, oh, I want to pick the guy with the mask, you know, Vega. And then my dad actually got a Super Nintendo with US Squadron. That was like his favorite game back then. And Street Fighter 2. So I remember Street Fighter 2, and I didn't even notice the characters were more kiddyish in Street Fighter 2 World Warrior than they were in Turbo or Champ. So I was like, oh, Guile, I want to pick him. And then I was like, where's the Claw guy? And you couldn't play as him because they're bosses, you know?
Yeah, the World Warrior, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember, you know, when I fought the Claw guy, I was like, oh, that's him. And for a minute, I remember when Super 2 came out, I remember it was Claw that was my favorite. It was Guile, but then I liked Vega or Barlog because he had a mask, like a superhero thing, but he's not a superhero, he's bad.
Yeah, you could tell he was a villain. Like, I think when I was playing Street Fighter 2 as a kid, I knew that obviously, like, Bipson, Vega, like Dictator,
yeah.
I knew that he was a villain because he's the final boss, but I didn't know much of the storyline. But you could tell that, like, you could tell, like, yeah, this guy is definitely a villain or something. But yeah, for me, I was playing Street Fighter 2 as a kid. We had, you know, World Warrior, and then we had new challengers on the Genesis. And I just remember...
You had it on Genesis, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just remember playing that, that was the Genesis one, right? New Challengers?
Yeah, that was on Super NES, but there were differences to those too. The Genesis, you had the announcer, while in the Super NES one, the announcer wouldn't say round one fight, he'd just say if you win or lost. That was it.
Oh shoot, I didn't even realize that. My brother has a Super Famicom, and I think he has like a factory sealed New Challengers or something.
Wow.
Like, he's not even into like. I mean, I guess he's kind of into fighting games. Like we used to play a bunch. I mean, he was my sparring partner, I guess, when I was like, getting into it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You know what? I'm gonna have to ask for a picture of that stuff. Hopefully we can get it up. But yeah, like I just knew that this is crazy. And I was playing Mario and Sonic and all the other stuff that kids play. But Street Fighter 2 was just
Sonic was the jam.
But Street Fighter 2 is just, I don't know, something else. But anyway, fast forwarding a little bit. So you're playing Street Fighter 2. I don't know if you discovered Netplay pretty early on and you were on Guile or whatever. How did that happen? Like, how did you start entering the somewhat competitive scene when you were doing Netplay?
So, when I was young, same time I was playing these games at home, my dad would take me to like arcade. So, around here, like there's a mall near us, Granite Run, right? It's not there anymore. There used to be an arcade. Malls had arcades all the time. So, I would go there to play. I didn't really want to play anybody, but I just wanted to play the game. But because there were people there playing, I had no choice. To play the game, I had to play somebody. I had to get, waxed, washed, all that. So, years got by. I think one game I played a lot. I think what was I, 11? I was 11. Yeah, I really liked Street Fighter EX, but EX2, Vanilla EX2, because back then it was the Marvel Capcom phase, right? But then I remember my dad, we were at this arcade called Funscape, and he was like, "Oh, here, look at this, it's EX2," and they had Barlog in it. So but by that time Charlie was my favorite character because I was playing the alpha games and I was seeing Nash more so than Guile. Like EX Guile came back, so I was hyped for that. But I was like Charlie Nash fan favorite at that point. But anyway, to get to the point, Calera, I think it was during the time when they were emulating Third Strike, and I really liked Third Strike at the time. It's a beautiful game, like just the way the artwork is, the way the sprites are. Two other games, Art of Fighting 3 and Garo, are probably, and I guess the CPS2 Marvel games are on that level as far as animation wise, but it was around Third Strike. CPS3 was getting emulated, and they finally said, "Oh, you could play Third Strike on, emulation." And I was like, "Oh wait, you could play people? There's ways you could play people?" And then that's where Calera came up. And I remember I tried it for the first time, and it was so laggy. Like it would like skip. It was like it was how online I would have expected it to been. Like if it was on like a PlayStation 2, like the game just stutter. Sometimes it was smooth, but at the time my internet wasn't good either. We had the internet provider Cavtel.
I never heard of that.
Terrible. Yeah, they were terrible. Like the internet would be out for, I would say, 12 hours of the day, sometimes 14 hours of the day. So we'd have no internet access. And when we did, like, I remember playing Gears of War 1. That was like one of the games I wanted to play online the most, because Gears of War reminded me of an anime called M.Bipson. It's very gory, it's very graphic, but the way people get... At that time, I had a sick mind, so please forgive me, but Gears I was playing, and you could chainsaw people, you could blow them away, and then their body just explode. They don't make no death noises. Like it was like next level shit, because this was like 2006, right? So, playing that online, but I would get washed and my internet would disconnect, and I would just get so mad. you know? like, well, I'm doing the same thing they're doing, but of course, just I didn't know like the differences. Like some people's internet might be better, so their response.
Let me tell you some internet lore. Maybe other people might be able to resonate with this one or remember this, but my internet was so bad, right? Someone would call the landline. We wouldn't even pick up the phone yet, and the internet would start to disconnect. I don't know.
Oh, it was that bad. Yo, that's how it was with us, Cavtel.
Yo, you would be like, no, why you gotta call me? And like sometimes it wouldn't disconnect you, but 100%, if someone picked up the phone, it's a wrap. James Earl, you're waiting for James Earl Jones to be like, welcome, you've got mail, like one more time because you gotta log back on. Yeah, the internet life back then, yo, I'm sounding like an old man right now, but.
It was rough back then, man.
Yeah, it was hard out here in these streets. but anyway, so you're out here, you're on Kylera, you're in the God Weapon server, probably, right? Like that's where
it was God Weapon. Yeah, it was God Weapon, right? And then there was many different servers, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of servers. What was that server for Smash Bros games, like Smash 64? There was like a very specific server that people would go on. I can't remember right now.
So was that that's where you had to use the Kylera? What was it? It was like a version 64, right, or something, or version 32 or Kylera or something.
I don't know, man. Your memory is better than mine. You know all these little details, man. But I mean that was definitely an era though. Like that part of Netplay. So at that point, HDR hadn't even come out yet.
No.
So
yeah.
So you're learning, you're kind of like learning online. Maybe you're watching videos at this point. What made you stick with Guile?
So, I was playing ST, but at that time I was more so playing Third Strike and SVC Chaos. So, Third Strike, I was using different characters. Like for a second, I even thought like, oh, Sean's pretty good, but he's butt. We all know that. SVC, I was using Guile, but originally, and this is some lore, I played SVC back when it was at Otakon in 2003. I don't know if anybody knows about the famous, shouts to Steve Harrison, the famous Steve H story, where he dressed up as Terry Bogard and just massacred everybody. It was like they had a setup on like a big projector or whatever, and it had a big line, and he was just massacring people. And I picked Ken at the time. This is the first time I ever met like a FGC, if you want to call it that, like OG or figure. And I remember I picked Ken because I didn't feel comfortable using Guile on stick. I remember the only move I did was I started the match with Shoryu Reppa. I remember it like clear as day. Battle till you drop, then started Shoryu Reppa, and that's the only move I landed. So I got the game. My dad got the game for me. It's like a mid-year present thing because I originally wanted it for my 16-year birthday, but it didn't. The place that we had imports didn't have it. So long story short, to get to the point, I picked Guile, and I noticed his combos were easier than on ST. Like, oh wait, I could do jump in, punch into super, because I thought that was like hot shit back then, right? So I went on. Fast forward a couple, I guess 3 years later, I'm on Kylera, and there's this dude by the name of Age.
Oh yeah, we know Age.
That's just pushing my shit in, like so badly. Like he's using Ryo Sasazaki, and he used Guile. But the way this dude was using Guile was like, dude, how are you able to do that shit? At the time I didn't know there was what charge partitioning was, and then I would get salty back then. I ain't gonna lie. Like I mean, but at the same time, it's like it kind of opens your eyes to be like, you want to get better, So I would play him. I would smash him. He would smash me. Sorry, forgive me. He would smash me, guys. And for ST, I started playing that. That's around the time I ran into STP used to play on there.
Oh, that's
ST
some OG lore right there. STP. Yo, shout out to STP wherever you are. If you're still in the scene or keeping up, man.
Man. Dude, I remember he used to wipe me with every iteration of a Shoto. So like Ryu, Ken, old Ryu, Oken, old Sagat, and Sagat even. And then I remember we would talk on AIM a lot. I think I met you on there too, but we would talk more than play. And I remember he would be like, oh no, old Ryu is better. I was like, what? How is old Ryu better? You know, but I would play him. I don't think I won a single game with him. The times I played him during that era. So that was like 2008-ish. You know, I'm not gonna say what his tag was. You know, I'm not gonna do that. But
yeah, we can leave that. We can leave that in the past. Yeah, we all. If you knew, you knew. You know.
Yeah, if you knew, you knew. You know, but the dude was damaged. Like honestly, you know, I'd be curious to see like, because I'm sure he's still probably a beast. You know, like, you know, if that was a guy, you know, considering how good he was back then, it would be very interesting to see how he would fare against, you know, like other regions like Japan, or say like him versus Damien, you know, a lot of concept.
Yeah, I feel like, he was definitely like ahead of the times, because I probably started playing around the same time as you, in terms of like Kylera and all that, and you know, SB is one of the first people to kind of like, I guess, show me the ropes. You know, as far as like what an anti-air is. I remember specifically, he showed me, what was it? The Mike Watson. Shoot, it's an Evo like hyper anniversary match. I think Mike Watson versus John Choi, and he's like,
"Oh, was it C Guile versus
HF Ryu? I think HF Ryu." And he was like, "Oh, check it out! Like anti-air crouching medium kick, so like Ryu can't jump at Guile." And you know, I'm just super fresh learning all this stuff. I don't know anything about Street Fighter yet, right? I just, you know, I'm just mashing buttons, and he's out here like, "Oh, anti-air," but when they're in this range, you can use like crouch fierce, and yo, look, like that's the Watson anti-air fireball. I'm like, bro, this is some like Street Fighter is kind of OD. I thought like, and so yeah, he was, you know, for anyone who doesn't know, like he was one of those guys. He was way ahead, and you know, probably educated us, like gave us a head start, I'd say, at you know, this whole the Street Fighter business. But it also was the perfect timing because, you know, it fell right into the HDR storyline, and
yeah, it did.
And I think at this point, I probably knew, like, we knew each other just by playing online, but we didn't know each other. Like, we didn't really know each other yet. We didn't meet face to face.
Yeah, there's lore to that one.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but yeah, I think you were probably playing on Kylera, and then HDR came out. What compelled you to go towards that game?
So originally, I saw HDR was okay. So HDR came out originally in 2008.
Yeah, it was like the end
November.
of yeah.
November 24th, I think, 2008. It was pushed back a year. It was originally supposed to be 2007, but they pushed it back. I had saw it because I was like, oh, this is cool. They got a new game with new sprites. You know, it'd be cool to see how they look, you know. But also the fact that I had originally burnt a copy of Super Turbo on the Dreamcast, and it had this OC remix soundtrack.
I remember those.
I was like, one thing, like I was like, Cammy's theme, like, I'm sorry, I think the CPS2 version is trash. And it's because I listened to that one. And I was like, damn, how is this so fucking good? You know, and of course HDR, it's a little faster, but the way they did it in the original, and then of course they have it where the Dreamcast version, they have speed up versions of it even, so it sounds even faster. Like whoever did that got burnt, like they really did a good job. But HDR was, you know, the graphics, it was a new console, you know, I also, because Super Turbo, that's the game, I have history with it, not like competitively, but just growing up. And plus I was just like, oh shit, Guile looks pretty dope in this, like it looks pretty sick.
Yeah.
So I saw it was like, what was it, like $19, and I think I got it the day before Thanksgiving, and I remember I was just playing it, and I was using pad at the time. So again, I'm still doing basic shit. Like I'm just doing sonic boom, flash kick, no normal whiffing or no normal baiting or none of that, and I'm having fun. One of the matches I played, because I only did ranked back then when the game came out, I just did ranked because I guess Gears of War vibes, I did ranked on that.
Yeah.
So, and I remember I actually got like trashed by Darkside Phil, like the real Darkside Phil. And I was like, I picked DJ, and I remember seeing his name. I didn't know he was a pro player.
I mean, he was the top DJ, and
yeah,
probably one of the greatest Street Fighter 2 players to ever exist.
Honestly, I think so. I mean, of course, whatever he's whatever he's doing, whatever, right? But I mean, the fact is, he still has done, he still put in some work in the game during the time he was playing. I mean, there's times he got blown up, but I mean, there's also times where he's like, damn, he was pretty good.
Actually, it's funny. It's funny because nobody else is gonna know this except me and you, because you sent me like a voice message the other day. You remember?
I think so.
I might have to.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I might have to play that on the stream. Actually.
Oh man, that's right. Yeah, we should do that. Can you?
Yeah, I'll play it. I'll play it. I mean, you won't hear it now, but I gotta find it and play it. But long story short. No, it's funny. We'll talk about that. So the PlayStation. Just what happened? Tell us the DSG PlayStation lore real quick, and then we'll get back into HDR.
Okay.
Segue, boys.
Okay, so the PlayStation version, Phil, obviously that's the one he takes pride in. DJ was better in the game. DJ was actually buffed. Because, and a lot of characters were actually buffed or nerfed. Like Guile actually might be buffed even, despite the CPS1 chain. But long story short, DJ's dread kick is actually faster because it's cutting animation so that it can fit on the PS1 disc. Because of course PS1 and Saturn had limitations. So DJ, if you land that 6-piece combo, it's always gonna
combo. Yeah. Yep.
Always gonna connect. Like this was, Phil unlocked this before Serlin did. So HDR's buff wasn't original. I mean, not intentional, but it wasn't original, right? So Guile, of course, the CPS1 chain, but also his Sobots. There's no whiff noise, so it goes like. There's none of that. His step kick, the last frame is actually, I think there's a frame and the last ending parts of the animation that are cut, so he recovers faster.
Okay.
So I don't know. Oh, I know Ken, Dalsim, they have their reversal supers on Wake Up. I don't know if Dictator has any differences, but yeah, that, and the Psycho Crusher. I think it's the Fierce Punch Psycho Crusher. It's kind of gimped, so you know how, like, if you do it, it goes like all the way to the other side of the screen, right?
Yeah.
So in this version, like, say you're full screen from the guy, once it gets to the character, once it gets past him,
what, he just ends up like right next to them right after?
Right next to them. So you get I guess you get a Oki, like if you want to mix up and whatnot. But the Psycho Crusher, I don't even know if to say if that was better or worse, but Mike Watson wasn't wrong about the Psycho Crusher. It's not the CPS2 one.
Damn, this is like, now the podcast is turning more into the differences in all the Street Fighter 2s. Like,
all the versions.
All this stuff should be documented, and there should be tier lists for all the games. I don't know. It's just fun kind of talking about how one small difference can affect the entire game. But anyway, long story short, you're coming for that title.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's bring it back.
Yeah. Oh, is it playing?
Yeah, well, basically, you wanted to take the title, right?
Me saying what I say. Okay. Oh yeah. I'm gonna keep it being, man. If Phil played these guys, like say the guys we got now in PS1, 2X, he would get destroyed. I think. Like if he fought a Hokuto, he would get demolished. If he fought a Ant Mega Man, he would get demolished. If he, basically like the elite guys that are here now, I don't think he would have made a difference. I don't think he would have done as good as he did back then. Because you got to look at the tech that's out now. And look at the tech that could be ported from CPS2 to PS1.
Yeah.
Like think of if Afro Legends picks DJ on PS1. You know how fucked up that would be.
You don't even need MGU anymore.
He wouldn't need it. He wouldn't need it. It's confirmed. I think it's a confirmed stun, or almost confirmed stun. If he lands that combo,
Zoolander should get on that ASAP.
Zoolander might be pretty good. I think Zoolander could be world champion in PS1 port.
Let's go. Yeah, we're gonna have to run we gotta run a tournament for a PS1 port. But anyway, back to the more legitimate ports, right? So HDR. I'm just gonna play this video real quick, and it's an online tournament between you and Thello. So we don't have to really commentate on the match. I just want you to take the time to, talk about the online HDR scene, who the players were, like who inspired you and all that stuff. So you can do your whole HDR story right here.
Oh, all right. So Thello, I definitely got to add. Anyway, Thello, I definitely got to add, because when I first met him. This dude. The backbreaker. Wow. But this dude was so freaking humble. Like, and I guess that's gonna lead to NEC 2009, who I met, right? Like, because that was my first tournament, so HDR was a thing. That was like a big event. So I remember, on the leaderboard, well, not leaderboards, but SRK, I made an account and I was like, excuse me, is there any, how do I sign up for the, like all shy and pussy. But anyway, I'm a shy guy, but anyway, I say, is there any, there's a tournament for HDR? I like to participate, and that's when I first started looking for my arcade stick. So I remember I went to Best Buy in Philadelphia, right? And I met a guy. I was asking this guy. I was like, "Excuse me." I was like, just like I did on the forums. I'm sorry to bother, because I feel like I'm bothering everybody. And that's another thing. Thello, in my opinion, definitely was top 5 in HDR for sure.
Yeah.
Like just the level of pressure he was doing back here, at this time. It got top. Did he get top 5 at Evo? I think 2009. I think for HDR. But anyway, back to the story.
Yeah. So Best Buy met a guy.
Best Buy. I'm talking to this guy. Not trying to bother him because he looks busy. Like, excuse me, man, I'm trying to see if you guys have any arcade sticks. So he says, arcade sticks, what kind are you looking for? You know, as in, oh shit, he may actually know, he may know some shit what I'm looking for. This might be jackpot. I was like, I'm looking for the TE stick, you know, the version 2 though, the black one. So he's like, oh, that's a pretty good stick, man. What game do you play? You know, I was like, oh, I play Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo. He was like, what? So he's like, oh, you play Super Turbo? Do you play HDR or Super Turbo? Because at the time there was the HDR folk and 2X folk, right? So I said, I play both, but I like HDR. So, you know, he introduced me. He's like, oh, my name is Kyle. You know, I go by Comeback. And I was like, oh, all right, nice to meet you, man. I'm Mars, and you know, we started, you know, we got each other's number, and I think he told me his post on SRK or his tag, you know. So we met up, you know. Shout outs to my other friend Gary, who was with us at the time, and we just started playing a whole bunch of games. Like, I was getting demolished in Third Strike, Chun-Li's cheap. But anyway, Marvel 2, and then we were playing, you know, 2X or Hyper and HDR at the time. So then he was telling me, hey, you know, why don't you come out, you know, because Street Fighter 4 was the main game back then too. Right? Everybody was playing that. So why don't you come out, you know? So I met, you know, there was all these sick people that I met there. Not necessarily all 2X players, but well, 2X wise, Kev G's, shout outs to Kev G's. Street Fighter 4 wise, shout outs to the best kid on the planet, Dr. Chaos. A lot of guys. There was this able player, I think his name was Ryder. He was really sick. He was savage. But back then, everybody was hungry for Street Fighter 4, you know? Yeah. And it was Zach Catterman who used to run these like little bi-weekly sessions. It was pretty cool, man. But yeah, then that's when, you know, me and Kev started linking up, and you know, then that's when NEC happened. That's when shit hit the fan, you know.
You got bit by the bug.
I got bit by the spider, by like 5 spiders. You know, I got bit by a old Ken spider. I got bit by a Kuma spider. I got bit by a Dalsim spider, a claw spider, and a Kami spider. You know, and well, those being Damien, John Rambo, Cross, Ganelon, and shout outs to Corrosion, now known as Arc the Ladder. Shout outs to these guys, and that's where it started, man. You know, I just ended up, you know, getting a real good friendship with these guys, especially, you know, Rambo and Damien were so fucking nice, you know, like. And,
I find that slightly hard to believe. The damned I want. No, I'm just kidding. People. Oh, yo, people.
Whoa.
Oh man.
Damn, the overhead.
The 33 foot lore.
Do you remember the time when we were at my house and we played HDR and we talked about it a little bit, and we were talking about, you know, Guile might be top 6. I really think, if I'm ignorant, but Guile might be top 6. I think he might be onto something here, because that overhead is like really fucking good, man. You know? Yeah.
I mean, who was I to say, you know, the ranking for a game?
We were saying Guile and Vega, well, Dictator, were rumored to be like top 6 because their slide was good, especially Vega, but like the slide was good. You know, what else? The flash kick, the roundhouse flash kick was good, and the hitbox. All right, so you know how New Legacy, right? Like the hitbox on the foot, not the blade, not when he does the flip, but the starting kick.
Yeah.
The hitbox, they're all the same. HDR's flash kick, the hitbox was bigger. It was way bigger because you could hit the foot from like two character screens away, or 2 character, you know, away. But shoot, I lost track. But anyway, man, HDR wise, there was a bunch of players. There was Royal Flush, There was Snake Eyes. Sorry, man, but he used Goki originally. Then he switched to Zangief.
So he picked a stronger character in the end.
He was originally a Goki, but he was originally a Goki, and he was originally ranked first. It was him and another guy who I consider like one of my very first mentors. His name was Fifth and Some Bud, and he played Guile, Dalsim, and Blanca, and he played on pad. He didn't play stick, and he didn't like ST. He only liked HDR because, you know, it was a little better. But some lore, he actually played with Muteki and would chat with Muteki and tell me, oh, I talked to Muteki. He told me I was, you know, and I was like, what? And at the time, you know, people tell you that. I was like, oh, you did? You know, and but you know, so at the time, you know, HDR, I was a zombie at that game. It either I would get up early before I go to school for college, play like, see who's on, and sometimes I'd be late because I get so caught up in it, you know. And then the Japanese players, they get on in the morning. Of course, it was laggy, so the connection is, you imagine it's laggy now. Imagine how it was then, but at the time, you just wanted to just get the opportunity to just experience them, right? Lag or no lag, you know, because, you know, it's like, damn, I'm really playing. Like, so Shogatsu used to play on there a lot. This guy known as TO13GO13, he played on there a lot. There was this guy known as Haru Terejo or something, but he used HDR Zangief and Guile. So he was ranked first for a while, and then Makiri, who was, I wasn't even Muteki at the time, it was his wife.
Yeah, Chamu.
That played, yeah, that was originally on the account. And then Muteki started playing, and, you know, but they went, of course, my connection with them is, you know, because I'm in the East Coast, they're in Japan. It's a blow up, you know, compared to like a West Coast, you know, because Fifth and Bud was a West Coast guy. Then a bunch of other guys, man, like my homie Jiggly Norris, shout outs to him. You know, I actually met him coming home from Evo, which was like the dopest hour, like one of the dopest hours ever. I wish we would have, you know, medicated, but it's an airport, so we ain't gonna do that. Who else? There's a bunch of guys. Zas, Large Man, BGG guys. Zas Spacer. There's Zas Spacer. He plays old Guile, but he plays Vega too. But he's the guy who did Street Fighter Dojo. Him, a lot of guys that play now, even C Vital. Reno, I didn't really see much until the later era.
Evo champ Reno.
I knew he did damage. Yeah, the Evo champ. And he still did damage, but I didn't really, you know, play him, you know. Not that I didn't want to, but, you know. There was other guys. This guy named Etanalism. Who else? Another guy named Imperium. There's so many guys, man. Imperium.
I mean, I think
decoy.
I think the point about like this whole thing is, one, there were a ton of players online. It seemed like you can log on at any point and people were playing.
There was always traffic.
And then two, the fact that you were able to play against Japanese players, you know, that never happened before, where you can play them online. I mean, even now, if someone's like, yo, I was just playing and chatting with Muteki, even now, if you said that, that's like, holy crap, you did? But back then, you got guys that were able to do that. It's pretty insane, but like, the HDR story arc, like, not only brought in more players in the scene and made it competitive, but like, it actually has a pretty rich history that doesn't get talked about much. Like, people gloss over it because it's like, nah, it's all about 2X, but clearly, like, a lot happened, you know, in
even
that
the
time.
classic mode. There's so much people that were on, like U Vega. I remember I saw U Vega, you know, because you could see who was ranking, and then you just saw like a name, and then you see you Vega. I'm like, oh, that's the Vega. That's the Bison at the time. I wasn't a mark yet.
Now you only use So that's the thing. Some of you guys are wondering. We pretty much only use the Japanese names when we talk to each other.
Yeah.
We say, yo, that's sick Bison, but it's like, yeah, we're talking about boxer, bro.
Yes. Right. So I remember I was on and I was like, because they would show your win streak if you're fighting some guy, and they show how much they won and how much they lost. So there's a guy that was like 24-0, and me at the time, I've always had the mindset like, oh, fight the strongest, even if you're probably gonna lose anyway, but get that experience,
Yeah.
So I saw who I was playing, and it was U-Vega.
U-Vega DJ. That was
U-Vega DJ.
Yeah.
And his icon was, he had this, I think it was like it looked like an Inuyasha character, but it wasn't. But long story short, his win streak went from 24-0 to 50-0, because I kept trying to challenge him and I kept getting mauled. So at the end, you saw because it shows you how many you won and lost. I think it was like 0-30 lost and ranked, because I was a leaderboard whore. So at a time I was gunning to be like top rank, but little did I know, man, that was nothing compared to what I would, going out and seeing the full scene, and I was just like, damn, man, like I can't even touch him. Like every throw attempt he would get, every cross up he would reverse, every TOD he landed. And this is, again, the connection was again East Coast to Japan, but this guy's landing everything, so I just, and then the guy, have you heard of the guy Cesar RU? I think that's his name, but he's one guy, he's on Xbox, but I think he goes by Ritual on Fightcade, but he has different tags. But he was like, he basically said, ah, man, you lost to one of the GOATs, but don't feel bad, man, it happens, and at the time I didn't want to hear it, because when you're passionate about it, you're hot-headed a little bit, right? Like you kind of go rogue, or you just like, I just want to, you go rogue, you kind of want to do it on your own. And with me, I always, like, whenever I try to learn stuff and practice stuff, I would just try to do it on my own. I wouldn't try to ask for help. I kind of felt like if I asked for advice, it was kind of a weak thing to do, because it's like, you gotta learn that on your own, And,
you just had the Raph mentality of the Ninja Turtles, I think. You're like the Raphael.
He's definitely my favorite of all the but I think that's where I gotta thank Large Man, because I messaged him on SRK and I was like, hey man, again, being shy as hell, I was like, hey man, I saw you're pretty strong. I'd wondering if you could probably help me train, not expecting to try to beat him or anything, but just practice. And he gave me that time, man, and it helped. There was a big PSN tournament for HDR, so you had like all these killers like Royal Flush. Royal Flush was a savage. He was another one that if people want to check out Royal Flush, just watch him from Midwest Championships 2010, him versus Alex Valle Grand Finals for HDR.
Damn, the lore on deck, bro. On deck.
Yeah. That's one of the best footages I could possibly forward people for Royal Flush, because that was an outstanding performance. That was probably when Valle was kind of still around his peak a little bit. But shoot. I forgot. Now I'm going on a different
PSN tournament.
Oh, PSN. Okay. So PSN, there was all these guys. Hadouken 6ix9ine. He was running it. So there's all these guys. There was another guy I met that I actually met at NEC that he didn't really play online much, but he was still, and he's a Toe Ball 2 fan. His name was Hambot. His name's Jeff, but he goes by Hambot, and his chun was pretty tricky too, and he taught me the stored super. Shout outs to him, but you know, there was a big tournament. That was like the first tournament I beat Royal Flush in. But of course, it's on PSN, so you know the connection's not going to be as good.
Well, see, the input delay was just a bit horrendous, right? Like,
it was bad. Like it wasn't even really the input, but more so like the freezing. Like sometimes the game would freeze. Like instead of rollback like the Xbox had, the PSN version would freeze up. And you know, that hindered a lot. I mean, I didn't notice that in the tournament, but just general Netplay, the PS3 wasn't good. But the finals was me and this Honda player by the name of Mr. Ego Trip. God rest his soul. He passed away a couple years ago. He was actually the original founder of No Honor Crew. So whoever owns it now, who owns it or who owns the name, but he was the founder, and I think the set went 4-3 me. Like it was very close, man. It was very freaking close, and you know, that was my first online tournament I won. I think where it was like the winner gets like a TE stick and I think like $100, but you know, I never got the TE stick, but at the time I didn't really care because I was buying sticks on my own anyway. So Evo 2010, you know, Hadouken, he's a sick guy. He came up and reimbursed me with, you know, some money. And I was like, oh, dude, you don't have to, you know, I was basically saying I ain't worried about the stick, but thank you for, you know, doing that. And Evo 2010 was like, I guess my first big Evo. Well, that was my first Evo, but my first big tournament where it's like 300 people in the event, and I was in the same bracket as Damien. And at the time we were training, you know, that was around the time he had invited me to come up to Howard's, and you know, I think, you know, you didn't start coming until like I think a month or two.
Probably right after that, I think. Right
after that, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember, you know, I was so nervous because, you know, you can see who's in your pool, and I saw that Damien was in my pool, Mike Watson was in my pool. And only 2 people, I think, was it 2 people advanced? No, 4 people advanced, I'm sorry, out of each pool. So, I remember I was doing good. I was winning my matches. And I remember I came up to Mike Watson and said, excuse me, sir, which section do I play? I was like, this guy's calling me sir. You hear this?
Yo, shout out to Watson, man. What a goat.
He was just like kind of G with it. And I was just like, oh fuck, I might have pissed him off, but you know, so that bracket I had to fight this guy by the name of Hugo 101.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that guy was when you think about it, dude, that guy was the sleeper. He was the secret weapon, right?
He's a dark horse in like a bunch of fighting games, yeah, for sure.
Huge. Like this guy, you know, I played him, I won the first round and that's it. After that, it's like double, almost perfect, you know, 30%, you know, maybe only lost 30% health. So I'm in losers and I'm like bummed out, and you know, of course it's everybody wants to do well, right? So then I'm watching Damien play him and he counterpicks him with Cammy, because Zangief this is around the time the Baby Zone shit started happening, so he, you know, Damien knowing Damien, he plays to win, you know, as he should. He picked Zangief. Hugo picked Cammy, and Cammy was actually better, right? Because she got the safe spiral arrow,
right?
So she could just spam it at will. You know, there was a lot of upsets. I mean, not my loss. My loss wasn't, but like, you know, Hugo took it, you know, and I'm like, damn, dude, this dude, I've never heard of this guy. Because that's the thing about tournaments. You play online and then you go offline and you see guys that don't play online for shit and will stuff your shit, like, that are really about the shit. And, you know, I remember there was casuals before the tournament day for ST at EVO 2010, and there was this guy that used Bison, right? That just heavy set dude, you know, and he just, you know, I'm getting on the cab thinking, oh, I should be able to take him, right? Beats me within less than, probably the game's over in like 60 seconds minimum. You know, I just got blown up. But that's the thing with offline. That's why you got to go off to these events. You know, it's good to go and see, you know, what's out there, because there's so many players. There's so much stuff that we don't know about, right? Like, there could be a player from some small town, you know, and just out of nowhere he just plays. He doesn't play online, but he comes to offline and he just does damage. Like, who is he? You know?
Well, that's the thing. Like, right now, like, I guess the current era of ST, because there weren't a lot of offline tournaments. I mean, they're coming back now, but because there weren't like many offline tournaments, it's been hard to kind of foster the next generation of players. Because, yeah, our, I guess, era where we were traveling around was like you and Damdai and Cross, Mike Gish, there were like a bunch of people, but at that point we were all hungry. John, Rambo. Actually, you know what? Matter of fact, I gotta play the video now.
Oh.
I gotta play this video.
Oh man, back in the day.
But yeah, the whole "Don't Blow This" crew. You know, shout outs to Howard.
Oh man, love that dude.
Yeah,
do you still have the shirt he made for us?
I'm sure I have it. Yeah, and I have that thing that you could wear on like your arm, the Revo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I got that somewhere. Yeah, but yeah, this was definitely like an era, because this was the tri-state area. This wasn't just New York. We were legit. I would have to take an hour and 20 minutes or hour and 40-minute train ride to get to Connecticut.
To get to Connecticut, yep, I remember. It was to Bridgeport.
Yeah, Bridgeport with, you know.
Oh, the GOAT, Tecmo, the GOAT.
Yeah. Oh, you know, take the title from it. That's what you're saying on the mic, right? Like, I'm gonna take that PS1 title.
Yeah, that's me going like, yo, man, just so you know, man, you're lucky this isn't PS1.
Yeah.
Because I would have took your title from you instantly. You know? Yeah, that's me saying, yeah, I would have proved it. Just showing y'all, you know? And John's like, yeah, he's right. Tech. Yeah, man. And Tech, that's another one, man. Like, when I first met this guy, he was like, you know, he seemed like so freaking, how do I say it? Gentlemanly. Like he's a Dudley. You know? And then him and his brother, you know, when I saw David Doyle's Ryu for the first time, I was like, yo, he's gotta be a top Ryu. He's gotta be, you know? But it's like seeing that shit, it opens your eyes, you know, when you're first getting into this tournament shit, when you're young, you know, when your tournament career is young, you know, seeing all these different kind of shits, like, kind of hype you up a bit, right? Because, you know, like, wow, you know.
I mean,
then you learn.
You also just make, like, you know, you build the friendships with the players as well. Like, right here, for example, you know, a couple of the names that you just said. Yeah. So
that was the first one.
This is your first tournament, right?
2009. NEC, HDR. There was a side ST tournament for that too. I think me and Kyle got 4th or 5th.
Yeah. Why am I laughing though?
Oh, why? Because I had the Boondocks arcade stick.
Nah, because there's a 5th person in the photo. There's a 5th player there.
Oh, there's a fifth. Oh, wait. Oh, the OG.
Yeah, the OG World Warrior right there. That's Shenlong.
Warrior, man. Oh man, dude, he like, shout outs to Bill, man, cause like for real, like hearing like stories and you know stories back in the day or tech from back in the day, that's really, honestly, to me, that's hyper more than hearing about new tech. Because it's like, damn, these guys, who knows, like, if we were around that era, like, who knows what we could have seen, you know? Like, so, like, Bill, I got a lot of, like, I guess you could say mentor figures, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're one of them, shout outs to SRK Coop, Howard, Yanis Gemini, Frank, Roy Bizzle, like, just learning a lot of things over the years,
And of course, young Bernie as well. We gotta get him. We gotta get him on the podcast. And then I think I've referenced this photo before as well.
That's good.
Yeah, this has a bunch of players, including Marcus Makiri.
Wasn't this his first tournament?
Yeah, I mean, he just came to the U.S. because Matson asked him to. So he's like, all right, whatever. And yeah, he competed. We went over this in his episode. But yeah, this was a hell of a tournament right here.
Yo, that was one of the dopest. That was probably one of the dopest parts of that event, was meeting Marcus.
Yeah.
He's just dope as hell, dude, man. Just could chill with him for hours, like talk about anything, and yeah, this was sick. Shout outs to another inspiration of mine, Jaron, my AX2 senpai, if you want to call it, because he, watching him play X2 is kind of what made me get into that a bit, like I was like, damn, dude, like he's really into it, and that's one thing that inspires me, like that I love watching about Jaron, because he's like, when he plays, you feel his energy, like it's weird it's weird to call it, but that's kind of, I like his style.
I would say philosophy, like he's philosophical when he's playing.
Yeah,
like Jaron like thinks deeply about, I don't know, just like a lot. That's why he's able to like play so many different fighting games at a very high level, like just like with the intuition and just like, I don't know, deeply thinking about what he's able to do, what his opponent is able to do.
Yeah, especially Street Fighter 5, dude. Like he's like a warlord now, I think, on there.
Yeah, with Bips.
Crazy.
And
that's a great event though.
Yeah, we also had your man cave. I could show this. This is from 2011.
Cross the God, Kev G's, Bill the Goat, the OG, Ganny the God, the Undertaker, the Phenom, Riz the Goat. I was gonna call him cheap, but I ain't kidding. Okay, the way Damien was just smiling and just looking at it. Nah, man, but it was a great time, man. That was one of the most epic sessions yet. And then Spence came like late.
Oh, with the brick fight stick and duct tape and shit.
Shout outs to Spence. But yeah, that was a great sesh, man. Jollies was there. I think the setup we had too is where it was like, I took my mom's TV in her bedroom and I brought it in between the two TVs and connected it, and we could all we could basically watch where the setup is. But then I was like, you know what, let me just see if I can get a 50-foot S-video cable and connect it to the big one. So that's where the big TV was a spectator TV for the studio.
Right.
But the big TV died about a year ago. So it's now I gotta find a new TV that, hopefully they have S-video still in these new ones. And I'm outdated when it comes to this new tech stuff.
Yeah, at the time I was like, yo, you're like super ahead of the game. I mean, you even wanted to get the most authentic fight sticks that we can use at the time, and that was sick.
Oh, yeah.
That was sick. That was sick going out there. Then you had to like mount it onto the table. So one of the earliest setups.
Yeah, the 8-Trap 2 essay.
Yep.
For PS2, yeah. I remember, and I took out the last 2 buttons and got the artwork for the Astro Cities, and I fucked up the colors though, because one of them, it's supposed to be green and pink, and I got green and red instead. So I'm dusting it off now as we speak, man. It's kind of crazy how this is still a thing.
Yeah, I think I left my 8-Traps at Tecmo's house, because that was the next spot, like his office or whatever, where we used to be playing on the cabs and all that. But anyway, let's get into some of your other match footage. So, you know, you're known as, you know, the Guile expert of the U.S. Even recently, you've just been winning exhibitions back to back, and you know, like a bit out of the tournament scene now. But you know, there's only like a handful of people who've taken games on the Japanese players, and this is at a time. So you're fighting Hanashi. Just to give some backstory, at this year, if you look at any GameSpot versus videos, Hanashi was the last player, and he was just, you know, they would throw him near the end. He was washing everyone. And here you are at Tournament of Legends too. So what were you thinking, man? Like fighting him?
So at this time, it was weird. It was weird, man, because this was a big deal, right? With X-Mania and TOL2, you know. And at the time, you know how there's this theory where, like, you know, if a Japanese guy comes to your area, you respect them, but don't do it. I was at a point where I was like, all right, I think people are respecting these guys a little too much. You know, they're not giving themselves a chance to, you know, they're just saying, oh, how good they are and stuff, but you don't know until you try, right? So I had a mindset like, nah, dude, I wanna take these guys down, you know? And I think it was weird because I had a dream around that same time that, it was weird. It was like on some weird movie shit, but whatever. Anyway, it was like all like the US guys that I like played with a lot. So like you, Damien, Ganny, like even Seb, all these guys were out, and I was the only US guy left. And it was a weird dream, dude. And it never finished because then it didn't even get to the game I had to play next. But I was in losers, though. I was definitely in losers, but it was, I think, I don't know. It was weird, though, because it actually kind of happened, right? Because I fought Valle, but Valle got his run back. But Hanashi, getting back to Hanashi, at the time, I knew he was pretty strong because I seen him from X-Mania. But one thing I had kind of noticed is that I didn't really see him do well against Guile, right? But it didn't click with me until I was playing him, because, you know, I was just thinking, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting cross-ups on him a lot. Oh, I got a chance, you know? So I just, you know, like combos, confirm combos, don't drop, hit your anti-airs, you know, the flame kick, like the chicken wing kick, you just gotta block it. And I think what is it? One of them I stopped with like a stand strong, like right before the wing hit. That's
the Guile. That's the button that you need to escape chicken wing. So if he does like Sandfier's roundhouse chicken wing, you can stand strong in between it, that little uppercut.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I also noticed like Mucus that year, he almost beat Noguchi. Like it was a really close game.
Yeah.
Like Hawk and versus Claw, and Mucus like was like one game away. You know, and then I had to fight, you know, Noguchi and got 3-0'd. But I didn't feel like that match was like broken, you know? Like I just felt like I got outplayed. It wasn't like, it was to a point where after a while you can't really blame the character. You can only, you know, you can't blame the character, or it's cheap anymore, you know? We played this game for how many years now, so it's, you know, I kind of, if I lose I just lose. You know, the guy was a better player.
I mean, that's one thing I'll definitely say about you in particular. Like, you don't get salty. You don't complain. I mean, you might get salty, but to yourself. I mean, to yourself. Like, not at the player and not at the matchup. Like, you welcome, you know, hard matchups and stuff like that. Which, you know, we got this casual match here. This is after Evo. We were all just chilling, and I trained for hours, just fighting Claw, and then
as Ken.
Yeah, old Ken. But then you got some games in as well. So here's I guess the last match that you played against Mao.
Against Mao,
the champ. So,
oh man, so some lore to this story, some future lore, I guess, if you want to go into the future. 2 years after this, Mao came back and he said, listen, I'll do a 1st to 5, but you only have to win one game. If you can win one game, you can win. You'll win the money match. You know, I think it was for $10, but he said if I beat him, I can get $100. Like, he upped it. So I said, he's like, if you can beat me one game with any Guile, any of your characters, then all right, then. But that didn't happen, and I got ransacked. Like, it was a steamroll, dude. Like, I don't even know what happened. And the 5-0 went so quick. It's on YouTube too, I think.
Like Salty Sweet matches or something. Hanasu's channel.
Yeah, from 2014. But 2014 specifically, that was kind of a rough year for me, man. Like, I kind of felt like I really let a lot of I let a lot of things down, I guess. A lot of friends, and you know, I don't know. That was one of my low points, I guess, of my 2X career. Now, see here, I think this is when Mao was. It was something like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah, we weren't ready. Yeah, we weren't ready for all that tech yet, but no shit.
Whoa! It stunned him. Wow. Low stand short is good. Shout outs to Jiggly Norris for that. That's his tech. Yeah, this is Mao. Just say Mao's just.
You didn't take the bait that time.
Take the bait, nah. Yeah, look at that. No risk, no unnecessary risk. You know, I have to push in. Yeah, pack it, dude. Whoa, teabagging. Low fierce. Whiff. Oh. What?
If you confirmed that would have been ridiculous. Man, it was just a casual match.
Yeah. Damn, man. That's crazy. Against the great Mao. I mean, if Mao's watching this, man, just so you know, man, I'm on Fightcade, man, if you want to see me.
Yeah, he's always on. He's always on. And
I know, but he.
All right, so I actually had I had another match that I wanted to watch, but before that, I don't know how much of this I'm able to show online. Like, I don't know what the rules are, so we'll probably have to edit it. What is your beef? What is your beef with Total Recall? We're gonna get through this. So, we're gonna get through this together. But what is your beef with Total Recall?
All right,
it's Mars, bro. You are Mars.
Ain't that something? So, when I was a kid, there was this movie I saw. It was just a random Sunday night, right? And you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it, and of course, honestly, T2 was like. T2 specifically was like, that's a GOAT movie. Obviously, you know. That's a movie me and my grandmom used to watch all the time. But because of that, I'm a big fan of Arnold. So this movie, obviously they're on Mars, but there's this scene if they're outside, they have no helmet. You'll see right here.
You're scared of this, right?
And that's when he wakes up next to the lovely Sharon Stone. The ending one is even worse though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the ending version is even worse though. When he's actually suffering it, but he survives because the air. Well, I ain't gonna spoil it if people didn't see it. But
if you haven't seen Total Recall, watch it. But for some reason, you've had this phobia, I guess, of the movie that Damn Dog used to tease you on for the longest. So I'm like, all right, we gotta watch this together. We gotta.
So some lore. Damien and another friend of mine from home, Justin. Shout out to Justin, childhood friend. Would make fun of me about the movie because Justin more so, but Damien did after he found out I couldn't watch that movie. So I made a bet with him if he won. I think it was one of the 2X in, was it 2X in the mirror or 2X in the flesh? One of those tournaments he won. I said, if you win, I'll watch Total Recall the next fucking day, right? Yeah. I'll do it right the next day. He won. I did it. And then I was like, yo, this movie's kind of sick. A week later, I end up buying the movie on DVD.
Yo, let's go.
Yeah, a week later, right? But it was when I was like, because I remember when me and Justin were younger in school, I would always used to, he would say, yo, check out what's on TBS. I turn to TBS, and next thing you know, I just see this red earth, and then Arnold's on the ground, he's going like, getting the head big. We used to call it the head big because their heads get big as hell. Ronnie Cox, the way he died, obviously that's his eyes popped out. But
yeah, that's pretty gruesome. Yeah,
that's pretty gruesome, But yeah, man, honestly, I'm a big mark for Arnold movies. Like honestly, like that's probably like one of the things I liked about Guile was that he kind of had like another character, Jack in Tekken. They kind of, Guile's not a cyborg, but Jack is, right? So
yeah, prototype
but
Jack.
Like they kind of have like a Terminator theme, especially Jack 2's theme in Tekken 2. Like when I first listened to that, I was like, oh, they put the Terminator theme in.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, so I was like, Tekken 2 is definitely one of the GOAT games. But that's kind of, Terminator's a big inspiration for, like, I guess my thing with army characters or soldier characters, because, I don't know.
So it all connects back to Guile, I think, for you. But yeah, I'm glad that we can watch that scene together, and you're still on the podcast. So let's bring it back to
the next time you visit, we gotta watch. We gotta
watch it. We gotta have the viewing party. But yeah, I wanted to watch. I had one more match that I wanted to go through. It's a pretty significant tournament. This is Tournament of Legends 1. And the reason why... Right, there's a little bit of controversy for this match. So I'm just going to play this Game 5 and then, just talk about what happened. But first, let's hear your thoughts. So what's going on here?
All right, so I got to tell you, around this point, and I think I even told you before the match, there's a big lore to this match, actually. So... Fred, God rest his soul, there was a term known as floating. So like if you can kind of avoid a matchup you don't want to and sacrifice for another. So it was, Fred was mentioning, hey, you could probably be floated instead of fighting Wilmar. Maybe you could fight Ganny, and Ganny was near me when he mentioned this to us. So I looked at Ganny, I'm like, nah, I'm not fighting him. I'm not fighting Ganny, because if I fight Ganny and I win, then he goes home. So, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll fight Wilmar. And I remember you were asking me, yo, you good, man? You ready? And I was like, yeah, man, I ain't afraid to lose, dude. Like, if it's my time, so be it. Because you had to fight, like, one of the GOATs of all GOATs in DGV, man. And like, that match also, I think people should give a view. But all right, so here in this fight, obviously Wilmar was strong, but I'll just say, obviously people get better over the years. Wilmar wasn't as strong as he is now. right? Now, if you fight Wolmar, you know, here Wolmar, I would say he was, you know, he's definitely at elite level, but you know, there was still a couple things he needed to learn, of course. But as far as the match, the situation, you know, me personally, I was just listening to Drake. There was this one song I was like kind of obsessed over. I kept listening to it. You know, that was like my thing. You know, and of course, what happened. Me personally, I mean, I know people have different things elsewhere, but me personally, I don't think it's a big deal if somebody says, and that's just my opinion, because people are gonna root and cheer. That's just what, at least I'm known or used to. Of course, you know, I'm not gonna say Wolmar didn't feel some type of way, but I don't think somebody should be slandered for just trying to cheer on a friend. And yeah, he might have been a little worked up, but we both know Fred wasn't that type of guy, you know? So fuck what anybody else says. That's just me. But I love Fred, and he was always a good friend to us, you know? This isn't to create bad blood or anything. I love France too, but you know, over here in the US, you gotta understand, people are gonna cheer, people are gonna say stuff, you know? I mean,
yeah, I mean, let me just sum up, like, kind of, I guess, where the controversy lies. So, you know, you guys already fought in winner's side. Wolmar took it 3-0. You were a bit bummed out about it, but, you know, just went back in the booth, got back in his zone, and you guys were fighting once again, and this was a match to get into top 8. And
this was like a double jeopardy, right?
Yeah, it was a double jeopardy. So this is what NoHo was saying, like, oh, you know, you can ask the TO to avoid the match because it's double jeopardy, and because, you know, we're still in pools or whatever. But you didn't want to have to fight at home because sending one of your friends to, you know, end their run sucks.
If you know, B-Ron, I was, you know, I really wanted him to go far. You know, I wasn't gonna. Plus, we played together, him, Crossed, and myself, and Jollies, and Eric, and another friend of ours, Chains BS. We used to practice a lot during that time. So, I just, you know, if I had to fight a friend, one of the things I hate in tournaments is fighting friends. I know it's got to happen, but it's just something I don't like. You know, I don't want to stop somebody's road, you know.
Right.
Now, I mean, of course, we're all homies, right? But I'm saying, like, a friend from home. So, like, you or, you know, somebody close that I play with on, like, you know, on a regular. Like you, Arthur, Danny, Cross, you know, Ant, whatever. Yeah. Now, if it's somebody far away, like another country, another coast, with the exception of Seb and another one of my homies, he's like my Robin, Chris Gamble, who I've, you know, people may think you know, I'm learning more from him than he learns from me. But anyway, getting back to the point, what was I saying? Shoot, I got caught up. I'm sorry.
Well, basically, we wanted to avoid you were like, forget the whole double jeopardy thing. Like, you're down to do the run back. Yeah. It's a tough match. And this was to get into top 8. So where it gets controversial is there's a documentary by the French community. This was actually really big for ST to have, you know, Wolmar, who's the champion of Europe, come by, and, you know, they were doing a documentary for Super Turbo, which, you know, now, like, a million years later, I'm kind of, like, you know, on that boat as well, right? But in this chapter of the story, you know, you guys are painted as villains, especially NoHo, and, like, what he says is like, oh, France sucks. Once, like, he says it, fine. But, you know, he was just amped up. If you guys listen to other sections of the tournament where NoHo is on commentary, on the mics, he says, like, you know, Vive la France, and, you know, he's rooting for Wolmar. I think maybe his match against Alex Faye, I forget who, but...
yeah, I think so, yeah.
you know, he's...
Or was it Mao? It might have been Mao.
Yeah, it might be Mao. I forget, but the whole point is like, yeah, we're at the top 8, and he's rooting. You know, he's rooting for you. But the way that they like, I don't know, framed it in the video never really like sat well with me. I didn't voice up about it because I avoid drama. I don't care for that. I'm here to just play the game and have fun. But you know, I know how that like negatively impacted NoHo after the tournament. Like, we talked about it. Went on SRK forums and a lot of people blew it out of proportion, and he's just like, man, like, I did so much for ST, and it's like, what's the point when what's the point when, or like you said, it's kind of like slanders, and it's like, if you listen to the documentary, Walmart, who I don't want to like talk, you know, I'm not trying to talk smack, but he's saying like, oh, I just kept hearing him, and then I'm just listening to what he's gonna say next, and it threw me out of focus, and there was no other sound in the room, just like a complete lie. I was sitting right next to you, and I didn't hear no. I was sitting right next to you. He's standing right behind you, and but you know, it's I get it. Like, you want to tell a story, you want to make it more compelling, but I just want to bring the real story to light, and it's that these things are gonna happen in tournament, and you got to deal with it. Like, it almost looks like it was planned and you're a villain. Like, you told him, oh, do this, and you know, it's gonna mess up his concentration.
Yeah, kind of the way it looked like it, because I was watching it the other day, right? Not to make it controversial, but I had made it look like I had this look like I was looking like I was sinister or something. I was like, damn, I was really looking like that? Like, yeah, I don't think, me personally, I didn't have any sinister ideas. I just wanted to play my game, win or lose, it's okay. You know, and you know, I don't think somebody saying, hey, listen, Japan says it too.
Yo, that's a Ganasian combo. That's a Ganasian combo. What the
Ganasian combo?
Is the player suddenly gonna drop the combo anyway? Nothing bad, Walmart. What I'm trying to say is, like, I want to just correct the history of, like, for me, NoHo didn't do anything wrong, but that definitely hurt his motivation towards like the end of, you know, curry allergy and stuff like that. I think like it really took him out a little bit from that. And for anyone who's like trying to get into ST, and you know, definitely super highly recommend watch that, because Tournament of Legends 1 is probably one of the greatest tournaments to ever happen, not just for like ST, for fighting games. And like, again, this is at a time where this was the peak of US really caring about being the best in ST. And it was like just along that time where the relationship with the Japanese players was building. Of course, like Kusamundo was coming to the US, but like now we got Mao, and it was like in the middle of like a very important era for the game. And I don't want that to be misconstrued as like, you know, American players just, they'll do anything to win, you know, and and it just felt bad because like NoHo didn't enter the tournament. He just went there to hang out, and he created a program, the TOL program. You know, he commissioned artists. He used his own money to get it printed. Like, you know, to say that like, yeah, he's bad, or like, oh, he broke my concentration on purpose. Like, bro, he was building the game. Like, there wouldn't be a Super Lore Boys if there wasn't, you know, NoHo. You know, rest in peace to him, because, you know, great friend of mine, and definitely like my mentor, as well as, you know, for many others. Like, he was the coach. He was the one that put us on. And so, you know, definitely watch the documentary. There's a lot of, you know, really great information, great footage, interviews with the players, but I wanted to, you know, take this opportunity in your episode to go over that and kind of, you know, give a different perspective for it. I mean, Walmart is still out there, still kicking it, still doing really well, and, you know, hope that we get to face him again soon, whether on, you know,
Yeah, definitely. Another thing is, like, I don't want anybody, you know, to have any ill will or anybody, you know, like it, you know, it, of course, you know, it, I don't think somebody should be slandered for saying a, you know. That's just me. But however, I do appreciate, you know, over the years, me and Wilmar have played a lot more, and I'm appreciative of him. You know, we're good friends and talk and stuff like that. You know, we're very, you know, humble. Because one thing that I like about Wilmar, is that he doesn't like playing for money, and neither do I. So, that's one thing I respect about him. And I feel like, I don't know, it's weird. I kind of feel like what happened, despite what happened, me and him were able to build a really good friendship. You know, I just wish they could have told the story a little differently and not make it like there was an ulterior motive in it, you know. That's just me, but you know, Fred did so much, man. You know, Curiology, and like a lot of these blogs, you got to think are probably inspired by Curiology, right? Because that's what had it everything originally. Like, oh, hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening, man.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. Go on.
Yeah, so that's, you know, it had all the tech, like what Muteki, like I remember reading a Muteki Guile interview, and this was during the time they were playing Hyper. You know, there's so much content, you know, and I think like a lot of things now that are out, you know, they gotta kind of acknowledge that, you know, that was, if it wasn't for that, then, you know, that's kind of the blueprint, right, for all these other ones. And another one being ST Revival. Shoutouts to Karopi. You know, he was great. He's a great guy. I hope he comes back someday in the future.
Yeah, definitely put in a ton of work. Just, I mean, basically the grandfather or the godfather of like TOL. He's everything, man. Yeah, he's the GOAT for sure. Hopefully we can get another big get together again with everyone just as hungry to be the best. You know, I had this one image of us. Hold up one sec while I find it. You know, at the top 8.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why this event was one of the best of all time.
Yeah, so this was at the top 8 stage. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning, East Coast time. I was exhausted, and you know, there's link to that story. The whole Damn Die Afro thing happened, right, at Tournament of Legends, and that was a big point about the documentary as well, as that American players are like aggressive, and you know, like there's a line where Fat Boy says, "Oh yeah, like ST, I'll kill your mother," or whatever. Like when it comes to fighting games, I forget what it just stuck with me because it's so funny. Like you just take something out of context and add it to something else, and then it makes it into this whole thing where we're just like villainous and, you know, bloodthirsty. But anyway, like obviously there was a rivalry between Afro and Damn Die, and it got a little hyped up, but there was no real beef, you know.
Yeah, they were cordial as hell every time. You know, they would talk.
I'll admit
about things after.
I'll admit I don't think Damn Die was prepared at the time to fight Afro, DJ, or Boxer. I mean, he did better against the Boxer in the exhibition. And I know this because like we didn't really know the DJ matchup well at all, like myself included. And of course I wanted Damn Die to win because like that's my brother. And you know, this is the East Coast West Coast rival. Like it was fun. There was like something extra fighting for. So like if I fought a West Coast person, it's like I had to defend, you know, Damn Die and the East Coast pride or whatever. But yeah,
I think that money match, I remember I was a lot of people were watching it, took it like hella seriously when I was watching it. Like I was like, when I saw, I mean, I was heartbroken because like Damien, I wanted him to win too, but I was just like, damn, like, because I remember this some lore. He asked me quite a bit, like, can you learn DJ a little bit, you know? Like, he's not a bad character. And I was, during that money match, I was thinking like, damn, if I had just picked DJ, you know, it wouldn't have been this bad. But then I was so hurt after that, you know? And it's like, why are you hurt about another person losing, you know? But it was like, you know, because it's, you know, he's kind of, you know, it's like the three of us, we were kind of so like heavily training for this thing, right? Like that year specifically.
Yeah.
You know, we're like going training like every other weekend, you know, every 2 weeks, you know, either at Arthur's office or Mike's or Howard's, you know, and it's crazy, man, because I remember like when I watched it, I just was like, damn, I could have, you know, why didn't I pick DJ and help him? But I remember one person that got me through that time was Chris Gamble, because, you know, I remember I was depressed, man. You know, as much as I hate Damien, as much as I hate losing to him, I was very sad and depressed that he lost, and I didn't even want to enter the tournament. I didn't even want to continue. And I remember you were telling me like, nah, fuck that. Get your ass down here. We gotta man up and do it. You know? Yeah. So you and Gamble and Mike, you know, I was at a very low point then, you know, y'all helped me get through it. And especially, I think it was because I fought Arthur and I beat him, and I was even more pissed because, again, I fought him. It was Arthur, and I didn't, you know, but unfortunately, tournaments, that's just how they are, I guess.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, you're going to fight someone that's one of your close homies. But, yeah, I mean, it was the same for me, too, just when Damn had lost a set. Like, I felt bad. I was like, yeah, I wish I could have, you know, used these characters a bit more, try to do some more research prep. But obviously at the time, like, Afro was the best player. And
oh, yeah.
And,
sure.
You know, they became friends, of course. Like, they teamed up at Canada Cup. And, you know, Afro was the highest performing U.S. player at TOL1. And it's funny. So that photo that I showed earlier, you know, this is us waiting for the top 8. And this is, like, first time actually, like, talking to Afro. I didn't know any, like, I've seen some of his matches previously. Like, that's how little I really prepped Damn Die. Like, I think if this happened today, I would have done a lot more. You know, I would have done a lot more research. But anyway, I just remember Afro's like, hey, like, you know, we did it, guys. We made it. Like, it was just so funny. It was like right before that photo was taken, he goes, hey, like, we did it. And then that was it. And then I was just like, yeah, it's kind of cool that of all the, you know, the 32 entrants for this tournament who had to qualify or get invited or whatever, like, we were the 4 to move on. And that felt like an accomplishment alone, because then it's like, even though Damn Die lost a set, just knowing that it was us together, you know, with Afro too, it's just like, all right, this is dope. Let's try to beat the Japanese now. And
it really was like a 4v4.
Yeah,
4v4, right?
Yeah, and no, that was definitely like the greatest tournament, I think. And you know, a little bit of a segue, but Mars and I, we've been talking about this other project. I mean, I'll let you talk about it.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, you know, there's so much other players that, you know, I'm very inspired by the Lakuma videos. Shout outs to Jeff Schaefer. You know, I'm very inspired by how he talks about like how it was back in the day. There was another documentary, but I think it's taken off. It was by a guy named John. It was like a 12-part documentary about World Warrior going into CE. Mm-hmm. I think it didn't get into HF, but it was pretty much just World Warrior CE. And there's like so many players, man. I don't know. There's so many players that, you know, I feel like I'm leaving out. Like, I would probably leave out in this interview because there's so much history, you know. Like for instance, I could give you guys a lore story, right? This is a preview, I guess. So I graduate college, right? Mm-hmm. I get my degree, you know, I'm with my boy Ace. Shout outs to Ace the Clean Shot, you know. you know, he's like, congrats, homie, you did it. You know, we're hanging out, just boys doing their thing, medicating, all this. So, you know, I had, you know, obviously I had my Xbox next to, you know, connected to my studio. So the PS3 or any other console could use it on the big screen. They could watch on that. So it was, you know, Ace and a mutual friend of ours were over just, I think, having drinks and whatnot. And I got online just killing time because at the time I was on my Chun-Li tip a little bit. So it's HDR too, but I still felt like, nah, my Chun-Li is on some next level stuff. Shout outs to Dangerous Paper Cut too, because I remember me and him were kind of doing this little race to see who the better Chun is, but he's definitely got it. I run into a wild Dragon Ice, right? And this dude beats me 14-1 with HDR Hawk on HDR Chun. Damn. And I'm getting so, this was the day I got, you know, I got my degree. You think, you know, congrats, you graduated, you know? Just little did I know would the future that night be, I'd be getting mauled by a Dragon Eyes with T-Hawk. And then, you know, Ace's our mutual friends like, yo, come on, man, just play your best, man. You got him, He's like, Ace was like, nah, this light cheese. Get this guy out of here, man. You know? Like I was saying, me, you know? So he's doing, Snake Eyes is just pressuring me, destroying me, you know? And then I just cut the game off, you know, and then, you know, we're outside, you know, doing our thing. And then, you know, our mutual friend, he's like, yeah, oh shit, cool, man. He's like, nah, this dude was done from the rip. Because, you know, me and my boy Ace, like if you see somebody in the game like get manhandled, like it's shit's like, damn, like that's just like for real, you know? And I mean, another lore story is there's times Ace has witnessed me getting, he calls this term little brothering. So that means you get demolished, you get washed. Like you getting little brothered, like the dude's big brothering you, like you're nothing to him. You know, he does this easy. And it was me versus Damien. And he's like, yo, he is little brothering you, dog. yo, you gonna let him do that? Yo, he's every move he reads, you know? And, you know, I've even told Damien, like, yo, you should hear what, like, you know, you should hear what this guy says when he watches you, like, you know, play like a cheap guy that you are, right? But, you know, nah, you know, it's still all fun. Him talking shit kind of amps me up a bit, you know, but that was back in the day. I don't know if it's gonna amp me up anymore. I'm kind of
yeah, so
I'm kind of toast.
But so basically the project is gonna be like we're gonna go, I don't know, reference an old tournament, I don't know, like Too Old Too Furious or Too Cold Too Furious, let's say specifically, and then like you're gonna say like what happened at the tournament, who we fought, and pretty much because we traveled to a bunch of tournaments around those few years, so it'll just be like retrospective views, and I think we can make those kind of like shorter pocket lore boys videos, because they're like, obviously we won't have the time right now to go through all that, right? So that's gonna be a project that you guys can expect in the future. Just gonna go down memory lane with Mars. I mean, clearly this guy has the memory and, you know, remembers all the little details from these events, so it's a good insight into what the SC scene was like, you know, right when HDR was coming out until now. So you guys can be on the lookout for that. Pretty much about to wrap it up. We've been at it for about 2 hours now, so I did want to ask you at least just to kind of quickly give us your Street Fighter 2 tier list, and then after that, any shout outs, etc. We'll close it out.
Oh, all right. I'm interested in this tier list. So I guess this goes from Street Fighter. Is this just limited to Street Fighter 2, or is this?
Yeah, just this whole Street Fighter 2 series.
Okay. Damn.
I know this might hurt some people's feelings, though. But remember, guys, it's an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, so I'd say purist, like the two purest games out of every Street Fighter 2 iteration, right? It's probably got to go to 2X and CE.
The goats.
Now CE, I don't know the CE tech like you do. So for me, even Dash would be fine, but obviously I know there's differences. You've mentioned that between Dash and CE, so I can't, me personally, I just like that it's the second iteration, that game, but there's so many differences, but probably the peak is probably 2X and CE. Then, I mean, Ultra's up there. Was really good. Yeah, like I'd probably, if S2X and C are first, Ultra's probably second.
Yep.
I guess Hyper's probably third, but it'd probably have to be plus. But
yeah, Hyper Anniversary, guys, not Hyper Fighting. Hyper Anniversary. Okay.
Yeah. But there's different versions, all right. So there's many different speed differences in different versions, right? So Hyper, as in the Nessica version, the recent Nessica version that came out a couple years ago, because that speed 3 is actually feels right. It doesn't feel Omega fast. Not to say that speed 2 on Fightcade fell off. That feels fine. But speed 3 on Nessica is very, very accurate to the 2X source. Then I guess everyone else after that. I mean, I think Hyper Fighting sucks, but I mean, you guys make it hot. Corner Store Legends, I love watching that. And Cross actually got me into Hyper Fighting like a little bit, like maybe a couple years ago. He kind of got me into it a little bit. But me personally, I'm not a fan because it's originally a bootleg. Super, I don't mind Super, but I probably prefer the home console versions just because that's what I'm used to. World Warrior is World Warrior, it's whatever. Oh shit, how did I forget HDR, man?
Yeah, I was wondering where you're gonna throw that in.
HDR is probably
under new challengers. I would say I'm kind of mixing my tier list with yours, but yeah, I agree. Like 2X CE is on its own plane, and then it goes to Ultra SF2.
Probably under Hyper. For me, I'd say probably HDR is probably under Hyper Anniversary. That's just my opinion. But I think at the same time, if who knows, if HDR might have got a extra year, it might have still. I mean, it's still played even now. There's still people that HDR on Xbox even now. So it's it's still traffic on there. But yeah, for me, probably my top 3 under 2X and C is probably Ultra, Hyper Anniversary, and then HDR. HDR soundtrack was pretty lit though, like Cammy Stage. I love Cammy Stage on HDR. It's pretty good.
Well, now we got to make sure that we get you in the upcoming HDR tournament, so you guys can stay tuned for news on that.
It's another tournament. I gotta address that, dude.
Are you retired? Like, what's going on with that? Or not? Oh, I know what you're about to say. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, guys, it's over for me. There's, I had fun doing these tournaments and playing competitively and all that, but I don't know. I get, I just none lasts forever, So I think it's, I had fun. I think there's other guys there's newer guys now that are more worth checking out. You know, you don't want to watch outdated guy. I mean, listen, I know you got, and another thing, please, might as well. I know people like to say I'm the best Guile, this and that. As of today, let's drop that shit. Please, let's just stop that. You know, I'm not the best at anything. I just play. I just like to play the game. You know, just because I like Street Fighter. I love Street Fighter 2. You know, originally I wasn't playing to be the best, but you know, when you get caught up in the shit, you know, and then it's like, all right, you know, you subconsciously do it, you know, but you know, there's so many other Guiles out there now, like that definitely are amazing. You know, my boy Danny, aka Mr. Carabano.
Yeah. He's someone to look out for sure.
Yeah, Tecmo, we gotta get him back. This guy will never say he has a Guile, but Riz has a Guile.
Nah.
Who else? Gold Carjack. Listen, the guy, you know, he's a hard worker. You know, he's young, but he's hard working. You know, and you know, I don't know if he's listening to this, but you know, I think Jack is amazing. I think he's an amazing fighter. You know, you're gonna. You know, another one, Kyokai, Arrow Rockman, another great Guile. You got all these guys you could check out, you know, but I'm not that good. You know, I've never thought I was good. But I guess because one thing, you may not think of it, but I have a trouble with having self-confidence. I don't really believe in myself, or I'm not a fan of myself too much. However, that lack of self-confidence is kind of what amped me up to play even harder, you know. So people say I won't give up or I won't quit till it's over. It's kind of because of that. It's kind of weird.
The unintentional buffs? Nah, man. I mean, I've known you for years, and you know, we've chatted. We would have phone calls just as long as this podcast is talking about ST and life stuff and whatever. So, like, you know, I get it, but of course, you know that you have the fans, and there are people that always want to, you know, ask you for advice and recognize you as the people's champ. I mean, that was one of your first. That's one of the first nicknames that you had, you know. It wasn't.
Where did the people's champ come from? I never thought people would like me, dude. I don't.
You're the goat.
You're like me for.
You're MarsGatti, man. You're Guyver. You're Go Lion. You're Masugairu. You're freaking. You're the dude, man.
Yeah, I'm a Frodia. I'm Aaron Pico. I'm the guy known as Yugo, the wolf. But when he wins, he says, I know tougher sandbags. Shout out to Ganny. Now, if I was a sandbagger, I should say that as my win quote. But, you know, and you know, I don't know, man. I just I was kind of going by different nicks to kind of not be spam, because you know, if you're big, you know, I mean, I'm not big, but obviously, you know, people will challenge, die to get it, not die, but they'll fight. They really want to fight on Fightcade. They really want to fight and get challenges, you know. But some lore for you guys. I don't know, man. I'm trying to get an A rank on Hyper, but I think I'm gonna quit, and I'll be happy with my B rank on Hyper. So
I'm gonna have to play you some games after this for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to. Non-ranked though.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I did the whole the Roman Reigns shit, but nah. Shout outs to, you know, everybody that I met. You know, you, Damien, Cross, Ganny. You know, my cousin Brent. You know, and you know the people at home, Tech Monkey. Who else? There was somebody else I was about to say, but I forgot. But you know, Howard, Coop, Steve H for being one of my first inspirations. Chris Gamble for you know, for always being there, and you know, a lot of times making me feel like it's okay to be me sometimes. You know, my parents, you know, I don't know, anybody who plays this game, man. You know, 2X is a beautiful game, man, but at the same time, if you don't like it, don't hate on it, and that's for any game. I think you brought this point up, I think a couple weeks ago, that, you know, don't hate on another game, just accept it for what it is and move on. You know, you don't enjoy it, don't watch and play it, you know.
Yeah, it was more along the lines of like, we shouldn't talk about like, I don't like this game because it has parries, or I don't like this game because it has wall dives. You should talk about why you do like the game. I like this game because it has footsies, or I can express myself, or like the meta's interesting, or, you know, for that reason. We should talk about what we have in common, why we play Street Fighter, or why we play fighting games, and not, I don't like this mechanic, therefore this game is bad, everyone who's playing is wasting their time. Or, you know, like, he's been getting bashed on a lot lately. I'm fine.
Yeah,
I
don't wonder why.
I think a lot of people take the bait, and you know, then they like start this whole thing, and you know, people just like drama or want to get others riled up. I never really respond to those. In fact, I probably say that this game is Kusuge more than anyone else, but I say it in a jokingly way, and I don't care. I embrace the game for what it is. Like, I'm fine. Like, no one's, other people's opinions aren't really gonna bother me unless they're like influencing the mind of others. So if someone that's like, if someone really has a prominent voice, and they're over here like bashing the game, and then it makes, you know, this new guy who could have been the next Ultra Combo, or the next, you know, MarsGatti, or the next, you know, if we could have had like the next top player, but like they decided to move to a different game, even though they had intention of learning this because so-and-so spread this like misinformation. That kind of sucks. Like, that bothers me. You influence someone else
to hate the game.
Right. Yeah. And so it's not really about like what you said. You're entitled to your opinion, but because you impacted someone else who could have cared for the game, could have liked it, you took away something from them. And of course, like, not just for SE, this could be for any game. Like, when someone bashes on like Third Strike, I'm like, bro, why? Or someone bashes on Alpha 3, I'm like, come on, like, what do you mean the game is all infinite? It's like, that's not what the game is. Like, it sucks. It's just deterring from us wanting to, you know, be together to enjoy the retros, and that's pretty much it. So, I mean, I think that's,
isn't the goal to, you know, grow as a bigger picture, you know, the retro. So like, you know, like me personally, like, first off, I not want to cut you off, but I say thanks, man, for doing Super Lure Boys and stuff, because I mean, this is, you know, you put a lot of work into this, man, and you know, just giving these old games we used to grow up on and we love so much, man, you know, giving them spotlight, you know, so more people of the current day can, you know, learn and, you know, have fun with them along with us, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Like, I want people to, I want to be able to record these moments, like preserve the history, but you can only really do that through the stories of the player. It doesn't, like, going on a board and looking up the results, that's like only a small chunk of it. It's the why and like who we are. Like, I think this podcast, I've known you for years, and we talked for a hot minute. Like I said, we've traveled across the country, you know, for these tournaments. I just learned so much more. Man. I just learned so much more about like who you are from all the other like hobbies that you have, and it made me understand why you are the player that you are in SC. And I think that's dope. Like, we're not just playing the game. It's a form of conversation, and you know, we want more people to understand that. That's like the mission, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like art, you know, even just meeting a lot of these great guys, you know, like recently, Dead Games, you know, meeting Arch Villain for the first time. That was one of the best feelings I've had in 2X in a hot minute. You know, just meeting somebody that's just like chill, down to earth, that just enjoys just everybody enjoying the same game along that they're enjoying, you know. And you know, it's like stuff like that, you know, like that's those are what make these things so good, you know, like just the meetups, the friends you make, you know, like, you know, a lot of my tech, you know, I've learned from you a lot. You know, I've learned a lot from Crossed and, you know, Damien, all the ass whoopings he's given me over the years is, you know, I gotta thank him, you know, because that's, you know, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't try as hard as I do, I guess. That makes sense, you know?
Yeah, man, you know, shout outs to you as well for being like my rival throughout all these years. You know, hopefully we'll get some more games in the future, and of course, like, you know, to everyone that I like, you know, went around with to level up, many of the names that you already mentioned, you know, shout outs to them as well for, you know, just being them and being great friends. And yeah, I think there's a lot more story to be told, but we'll close the chapter for now on this one. So definitely last final shout out to MarsGatti for taking the time to go through some of his lore. Be on the lookout for our future, I guess, mini series where we just go over like old tournaments and stuff like that. But yeah, so to wrap up this episode of SLB, you guys.
If I could just say one thing, just you know, I know it's a couple months that passed, but shoutouts to Flash, you know, like you know, it still kind of hurts that he's not here, you know. I remember Seasons beating some lore. He said, "Hey man, you, for somebody that plays Guile, you fight so well in the corner." And I was like, "I do," you know. He's like, you know, and dude, this guy was like, I don't think anybody had anything bad to say about this guy, you know. So, you know, God rest his soul. You know, shoutouts to him, you know, and his family, you know. And shouts to him just for being a, you know, just a beautiful human being, you know. You know, got all these, a lot of mean, dark people out there, you know, more and more of them, you know, and this guy was one guy that you wish you could have like a million of, you know. So I don't want to, you know, that's all. Just shout outs to him, man. You know, just the years, we all miss him. I ain't the only one, you know. So
yeah, shout outs to Flash. He was definitely like, you know, a mentor for a lot of players as well. And you know, when he left, I think a lot of players were able to, you know, share their stories. And yeah, if he was at a venue, like, you felt his presence, you know, real positive guy. And I think he definitely had an eye for like you know, players' potentials, and he was able to nurture that. Yeah, we talked about getting him on as well. You know, I regret not being able to, you know, officially record anything with Flashy, but yeah, rest in peace to Flash. You know, maybe we'll be able to, it's one of our future like mini podcasts, talk about our experiences with him in a lot of these tournaments. But all right, well, once again, thanks, man, for coming on. Hopefully we chat soon. For everyone else, you guys can stay tuned till the end credits to find out who our next guest is. Until next time, take care. Oh, and play Ultra Street Fighter 2, guys, and peace out.
Ultra Street Fighter 2. Shout outs to the three goats. Shouts to Riz1, Large Man, and the guy known as John Matrix. Well, that's my fourth name. I guess preview for fourth tag incoming.
Alright, peace out.
Peace out, guys.